Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Casey and these are my two assistants today, Elsa and Kenobi. And today we're going to show you how to measure specifically for my harnesses in my shop. But we will go into some other measurements that I might need if we're doing something really custom or you might need for other shops. So stay tuned and hopefully this will be a one-stop shop for any of the measuring that you need to do with your dog or service dog to get any kind of harness, adventure gear, or service dog gear, which is what this video is going to be tuned to. So first off, if you do not have a soft measuring tape, I highly recommend you get one. You can get one like at Joann's, a pretty decent one. Joann's or Michael's for like $3 or $5. And I think as a service dog handler, this is just something you're going to want to have. It's one of those things that no one thinks about, but to be able to measure your dog whenever, and also they're just really handy and they're small. And so I recommend you pick one up. You could also get one like at the dollar store. Usually they have them in the little travel sewing kits. You might have one around your house and you might not even know. So check around, see if you have one. If not, I recommend you pick them up. If you need to measure, like right now you don't have anything, you can use a leash and then use a ruler. So like use the leash to measure, kind of mark where it is, and then use your ruler to kind of measure it out. So you can do that if you're in a pinch. But I highly recommend picking up one of these. It's just really great to have for not only measuring yourself for clothes you buy online, but to measure your dogs for gear when you buy online. So, highly recommend one of these. Also, a ruler is very helpful when you're measuring for handles for our service dog people that are watching. And then I also like a clip. This is going to be specifically for more of my gear, measuring for softer handles. So let's get into it. So my harnesses, this is a CM Classic Mobility harness as part of my Classic Mobility line. This is an Alpha and this is a Bravo. I don't have the rigid handle on right now. It has a semi-rigid handle, but this one also can go on currently. And so just as an aside note, the Bravo model is the only one that can have the rigid handle. So if you're looking for the rigid handle, you have to have the Bravo model. The Bravo model is the only one that comes with a handle. All these semi-rigid handles need to be bought separately. If you buy an Alpha and want semi-rigid handle, you need to buy that separately. It does not come with the harness. The only one that comes with the harness is the rigid handle on the Bravo. That's it. And the rigid handle can only be put on the Bravo. You cannot get the replacement handle that I have listed and put it on the Alpha. It's not going to work. So, just so that's clear, I know there's some confusion around that. If you want the rigid handle model, thank you for bumping the camera, you have to have the Bravo. So, to measure, for my harnesses, they are very adjustable. If you're buying from another shop, do check. I hear some shops don't even come standard with adjustable straps, so you want to really measure. Just adjustable straps are extra, which I think is silly. So, all of my harnesses are very adjustable to the point that you only need a girth measurement to size them. So, how we do a girth measurement is we're going to get our soft measuring tape and also some yummy treats help. Elsa, come here, since you're right in front of the camera. So our girth measurement, turn, thank you. Back up a little bit. I don't think they can see you quite. Back up. There we go. So our girth measurement is going to be behind our shoulders, and usually like 2 fingers behind the shoulders is typically the widest part of your dog. So we want to go ahead and get the right side of the measuring. Some measuring tapes, if you have it one way, that's the one. If you flip it over, it's the other way. This one's not. This one's just does millimeters on one side, inches on the other. So we're going to take our one, we're going to lap it over lap it over, and so we have Elsa here at 23 inches. And what you're going to do, good girl, is you're going to look for the end of this metal piece. If you never used one of these before, that is your 1 inch mark. So I'll show you what I was seeing with her. What did I say? It was 23 inches. So this is my 23 right there. So this little metal piece was right on that line. So I have 23 inches right there. If your metal end is missing, sometimes on the cheaper ones they fall off, you can use your number 1 mark and line that up. So I would be looking at 24. But if I'm doing that, if I'm using the 1 mark, I need to minus 1. So that would give me 23. Hopefully that wasn't confusing. If you have a brand new tape, you'll be fine. Sometimes these are messed up as well. So a good way to check it is just line up one of the inches right there, and that metal piece should be right at 1. Okay, 1 inch. That should be 1 inch right there. So that's pretty simple, right? So that's our girth. And are you just going to do all the measurements for us? And some shops, or if you're measuring for a collar, you can go right to the neck and do a collar. See, she's like at 13. For floofy dogs, I don't like to, you don't want to go like all the way down, try to like bury the measuring tape in their fur, especially with a harness, because it's going to sit more on top than your tape. I kind of like to go halfway, so I don't want to go so loose that it's like floating or like barely touching the ends, but I don't want to bury it. So I kind of like to go halfway, just a little snug. So that's a tip for if you have a floofier dog. For the neck measurement, as you see, I was kind of like in the middle of her neck, kind of where your collar is normally going to sit is where you would typically measure for a neck. Some people like a lower neck measurement, so just check with the shop. And then for some collars, like martingales sometimes, or prong collars, you want to measure the top part of the neck. So you just want to check, kind of see where you want it. Most of the time when I'm going to ask for a neck measurement, it's just going to be your middle of the neck kind of collar area for that. Next, we're going to talk about handles. So first off, this is a semi-rigid. You can lay down. This is our semi-rigid handle. This one's like all twisted up because I had it in shoved in a box somewhere. So when you buy one of these semi-rigid handles from me, I will go with a clip to clip or edge to edge. I was saying clip to clip for a while, but people were just measuring the middle fabric part. And that doesn't work because all shops use different clips. So you want to measure from the end, right where your D-ring would hook in, to the end, all right? So that's going to be your clip to clip. That's your full handle length. And I'll show you how you can get to that. Now, if you're buying a handle with one of my harnesses, so I know which harness and which size you have, you don't have to give me that measurement because it's kind of hard to get. Because I know the harness, I know the amount I have to add. I think this is actually Elsa's. This is Elsa's. Up. Elsa, up. Good. Kenobi, stay down. Okay, Elsa. Kenobi, down. Oh my gosh. You guys are ridiculous. I'll just throw this on him. So, for me, if you're buying a handle, I think other shops do this as well. With the harness, you can give an off the back measurement. So if I want this handle to be 6 inches off his back, I could use a hard ruler, put it on his back. If you don't have a harness or something on him, you want to be careful that your measuring tape doesn't sink too far into the fur. Again, like we talked about with our floofy dogs, sometimes even with our shorter haired dogs, you kind of get the same effect. So, but generally the width of the harness is not going to add that much to it. So I can measure how high, like I want a 6-inch handle or something like that. I want it to sit 6 inches high. I can do that because I know how far down it needs to be to reach this bottom D-ring. If you just tell me, oh, I want a 6-inch handle, I want it 6 inches high, and I don't know, my fist is like 4 inches wide, and then I gotta go down the other side. So it was 6, 6, 12, plus 4, so 16. I need a 16-inch handle, right? You're not accounting for this space. All right, lay down. So if I know the harness, I can account for that space. That's why if you want, you can do this measurement and it's easier than doing what I'll show you in a minute. But so that's kind of like the reason why behind that. Like I need to know the extra length for that. All right, to get that handle height. Same thing with the guide handles. All right. Guide handles, it's going to, if you do an off the back measurement, and you typically want to go angled for an off the back measurement, you still have a distance of this ring to the back, right? So my harnesses, I know what that is. Other harnesses, I don't know what that is. So you have to use the other measuring technique. Okay, so that's, off the back. And by the way, what I would do is stand next to my dog, step up, and I could just kind of put my ruler on the dog, one's down here, and kind of just hold it like this as if I was going to hold a handle, and kind of like figure out, a good tip is to put your shoes on that you normally wear, because that can change your handle height. And that is how you can kind of figure out where you want your counterbalance or bracing handle. Counterbalance is going to be a soft handle, a semi-soft handle that goes straight up and down. And then your bracing handle are going to be rigid handles. For guide, again, kind of can do the same thing. We're going to go back at an angle and figure out what's comfortable for us. If you don't have a harness to kind of visualize where this needs to be, you want to go like right behind their shoulder blades. All right, so his shoulder blades are like right here. So right where our girth measurement is, basically, that's where we're measuring from, because that's where our harness sits. So now I can figure out where my, what would be comfortable for my handle. And for this one, it's 7 to be comfortable. I actually use a 6 because I don't mind a tighter handle. That's something you're going to figure out is after you get your initial. Some people like a slightly longer handle. Some people like a slightly shorter handle than they measure just in when they'll find that out when they actually use it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how to get that clip to clip measurement. Of course, I'm going to be using one of my harnesses. This is the Alpha again. I think it's just easier to see. The next section I'll probably use the Bravo. But let's go for our guide handle. I like these little clips. They're like little sewing clips, I think, like hem clips or quilting clips, I don't know. But you could probably use like a binder. Sometimes there's like a hole on these measuring tapes that you can probably put a piece of string through, or you can use like a little piece of tape. And what you want to do is you want to take it, and we'll do a semi-rigid handle first. I threaded it through both rings on the other side, or a CB handle first. And then this ring, and I'm going to clip it, oops, to this one down here. Alright, so up, so it can, Elsa, lay down. Your head's in the way. Good job. So you can see it's like that end is right at that D-ring. And then on the other side, excuse me, goodness, I have, okay, turn around. You're not as good as the turn as Elsa is. Down. Other side, I have it looped through the rings here. So what I can do is I can kind of stand how I'm going to stand. And you definitely would want your harness to be clipped down there. So you're not lifting up on the harness. So I'm going to make sure my harness is down. And I'm going to put my hand here, and I'm going to kind of like pull this side to kind of adjust where I want it to be. So that's pretty comfortable for me right there. And so I'm just going to look down right here and see what I'm at. And I was just under 19. I would round up because this is going to be thinner than this. So I would say 19, and if I wanted to be really safe, I could say 19 and a half. I like having a little extra. I think a little extra is better than a little short. Alright, so that's for a counterbalance handle. And then, oops, I don't know why I dropped that. We can also do a guide handle. Same thing. So we're just going to clip. And instead of turning them around, I'll just turn this around. So we're going to clip our guide ring in the front. So it's like that. So I'm going to do that on the other side. But I'm going to thread it through this side. And this one in particular is a base model. So the base model is designed to use the CB handle as your bunny ears. Okay. I know some people will go through these. I think these are too low. And I don't like how restrictive it is. But if that works for you, that works for you. This is how it was designed to be. You can also now, I have the Mad Bunny ears that can be added at time of purchase to a Alpha if you want those, if you don't always use a CB handle. So, same concept. I'm just going to stand back to figure out where it is, where it feels good, and then I'll look at my measurement and I'll see, okay, like 20 and a half is a good measurement for a guide handle for us. Alright, so there's that. So those are your basic handle measurements and your harness measurement. One more. So these are pretty new. The shoulder pads just kind of softens up the webbing. I know a lot of people ask me if I can pad the webbing. And this is how we've gone to pad the webbing if you want some pads, because if I actually pad this webbing, it won't be as adjustable. And I don't want to lose the adjustability because I find that very important with my harnesses, that they are very adjustable to get that really nice fit. So if you want to get some padded shoulders, these come in many different colors. And they slide on and off, so you can get different sets and make different color combinations. And I can do some vinyl printing on them. How you would measure for those, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do a shoulder measurement. Come here. Good, turn. Hey. Kenobi. Thank you. You can do shoulder measurements. I know a lot of shops do these for their harnesses. You're Stop sniffing. I know, we're hungry. I haven't had breakfast yet, so they're looking for food. So you want to find the brass bone in the front. And we're going to put our tape there. And you want them to kind of stand straight. Kenobi's very bad at standing straight, unfortunately. And then you're going to measure back to where our girth is. So imaginary line where we have our girth. You're going to measure back to your girth. So in an angle. So his is about 11 and a half. Stop licking me. 11 to 11 and a half is kind of where he sits at. You kind of want to go back to the middle. If you take that measurement and minus 8, you should get a good size for this. Alright? The other way to do it, the more accurate way to do it, is to actually get your harness first, have it arrive, and size it to your dog. Kenobi, come here. Thank you. Sit. So, have your harness arrive and size it to your dog so you know what you want it to be. There you go. You're being good too. Alright, because some dogs like these running a little looser, some like them running a little tighter. And then, what you're going to do, once you have it all sized up, you're going to measure the space in between, and you can use a ruler too, in between the two padding sections, here and here. There's going to be a little space here, but that's okay, because it's going to allow this to move slightly, but you really don't need padding underneath this, and you can see it kind of goes past, if that makes sense. So you'll still get full coverage, as you can see, just getting those two measurements. So, but that way if you need to adjust it, like if the coat changes a little bit through the seasons, you won't not be able to use these. So that's to measure for shoulder pads. Your front pads can be, I find, a 2.5 inch, I believe this is. Wait. Oh no, 3 inch. So I have a sized one that actually goes with the curves of the Velcro for the front that you can buy, or you can do any 3-inch round patch. Works very good on the front of these from any shop, so you can use other shop patches. The back, the sides kind of get covered depending on what kind of accessories you have on them, and if you have the night safety add-on, you do lose like 1/4 inch of the Velcro on the back. This is the patch top add-on, so this is not a patch top, this is a standard saddle, and this is a patch top saddle. You can see how it's bumped out. Alright, so the Velcro on the top, because I get a lot of questions for this, it's typically about 1.5 to 1.75 inches. This one's closer to 1.5 inches because of the night safety glow-in-the-dark trim. And it's about like 6 to 6.5 inches wide. It kind of depends on the size of the harness. And also, you know, it's angled, so usable space, I would say 6. If you're going to put, or even 5.5. Okay, this is a medium small, and about 5.5 is probably going to be your usable if you want to do a square. This is the one I have on here, I believe is a 4-inch. It's a 4-inch, 1-inch patch is what I have on here. And then night safety and patch top harnesses have a loop up front for a light, but that also allows for you to put bigger patches. So this is where the measurement of the patch top gets a little tricky, because I can put a 3-inch round patch on it. Okay, with that. And that's only the patch top. There's no Velcro on the top of the standard saddle, but you do have Velcro on the front for that's standard for all of them. All right, what other measurements we have? Well, we have the belly band. Now for other shops, you might have to measure for this. All right, so a couple more measurements I want to show you that other shops might ask for. Say if you have a belly strap. Other shops might call it something different, but for me, this third strap behind here is a belly strap. All right, belly strap, girth strap, shoulder strap. Those are your different straps. Terminology for at least my shop. All shops are a little different. Most people, again, you're going to use your imaginary girth line, where this line is. And you're just going to fold your tape in half, basically, and measure right where your girth strap would be. Go there, to your girth. And that will give you your girth strap. For our shop, you don't have to measure for your belly strap. We know your girth, and our belly straps are very adjustable, so we're not worried about it. You will get it to fit, like I said. Now the last one that other shops might ask for is going to be this, what I call the sternum strap. Alright, I used to call this like the measurement in between the legs, which is weird. Alright, but any Y front harness, you might be asked for this measurement. Again, sit. Actually, I don't want you to sit, never mind. Good boy. So again, we're going to find that breastbone in the front, put our measuring tape there, go in between the legs to our imaginary girth line. Alright, so his is like 9. So again, some shops might ask you for that measurement. Ours are very adjustable, so we're not worried about that. If you're worried about any of the measurements that we don't normally ask for, feel free to provide them and just ask to double check that that's going to work for you. And I will double check. But as long as you're getting the right girth size, it will fit because of how adjustable this model is, which again is one of the key components of my harnesses, is that they're so adjustable, because especially for our mobility with the rigid handle and even the CB handles, it's really important to have a very adjustable, well-fitting harness. So yeah, so this is the Bravo, this is the CB, not standard, you have to add this. And this also has the guide, which on the Bravo, when you ask for the guide, it will come with the Mad Bunny ears, which I mentioned earlier. Those are these straps right here. Okay, they can be added onto, they are an optional to add onto these. So I will be doing videos to go into my harnesses more specifically, each model, but that is kind of an overview and a little tips on how to measure your dog for a harness. I hope you enjoy. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I will see you next time. Bye!